Meantime, a bill is calling to ban wildlife killing contests in Nevada. More than a dozen happen a year in Nevada, and Fox 5's Regina Ahn live now in Henderson with a look into Assembly Bill 102.
Yeah, John, so both supporters and opponents feel very strongly about this bill. Supporters say that this bill is unnecessary, and it's unnecessary and cruel to kill animals for fun, while opponents of Bill 102 say it's also helping managing wildlife populations. Animals like bobcats, squirrels, and coyotes are unprotected here in Nevada, which means it is legal to hunt, trap, and kill. And competitions like coyote killing contests are held throughout the state, with winners typically getting big cash prizes. A bill that was presented to state legislature 102 would stop this.
It would stop people from having these contests where they go out to indiscriminately kill as many animals as they can. The primary target in Nevada is coyotes. And then at the end of the contest, they go back to a meeting point and then they decide who wins the biggest kills.
Rebecca Goff is the state director for the Humane Society of the United States. She says coyote killing contests are inhumane. 5 Western states have banned wildlife killing contests, and she says Nevada needs to step up.
It's appalling. This is not traditional hunting that follows a code of ethics where there's fair chase, where they don't have wanton waste. These folks are just going out and killing as many as they can.
Opponents of the bill say this would impact rural counties. Joel Blakesley is with the Nevada Trappers Association. He says hunting, fishing, and other recreational sports is common in rural areas of the state.
You go out in the country and people see it differently than they do in downtown Las Vegas. People in downtown Las Vegas probably don't even think about it. But out in the rural counties, they don't have 63 restaurants. They have their churches, they have their high schools, they have their bars, and they go hunting and fishing for outdoor recreation.
Blakesley adds companion bills would enlist state and federal dollars to kill coyotes.
The state and federal government spend, the one fund has almost $1 million a year. So if we're paying to do control, what's wrong with doing it for free?
Now, if the bill passes, those who organize and set up these killing contests would be fined from $5,000 all the way up to $30,000. Now, there are still several steps needed before this bill is presented to the governor's desk, including going to the Senate committee. For now, live in Henderson, I'm Regina Ahn, Fox 5 News, Local Las Vegas.